what time? Tell us about the deal real quick. This is good for non-traditional financing. Tell us about that deal.
Yeah, we had it on the market for almost 4.5 months. They originally wanted 80,000 down. And she wanted the extra money to pay off her HELOCs and wasn't able to convince her. We ended up taking
Hold on. Sorry. Okay, say that again. So what's the sales price?
Sales price originally was listed at 470. It's worth 430. Traditional value.
No, well, how about the value it is right now? What's the value of the property?
We put it under contract at 432.5, and the value is probably 425.
So you got $8,000, a little bump. Okay.
Right.
So you sold the property for $432,000. What's the underlying mortgage on the property?
4.875.
Okay, that's the interest rate. What's the balance on the mortgage?
363,000.
363. Okay. So guys, I'm grabbing your calculators to figure out the difference. So let's see, 432.5. 432,500 minus 363. All right, $69,500. There's the difference, right?
Correct.
Okay, now keep going, please, and then keep going, please.
We sold it on a 30-year AM at 5% interest, so just barely above what she has on it.
Okay.
And 20,000 down payment.
Sorry.
And
wait. So you're telling me I could have bought a property for $432,000 with only 20% down?
not even 20% down, 20,000.
All right, $20,000 down.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me make sure you guys all. This is good to learn, right? So let me clarify real quick. So you helped a client buy a property with $20,000 down.
Sell a property. Sell a property.
Okay, so okay, thanks for letting me clarifying this. You helped a client sell a property and only got $20,000 down. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, why did you choose only $20,000 down?
That was the best 3 offers versus a traditional sale, which would have then given her equity out, but less commissions, etc. She didn't like that, and she was willing to take this one because it got rid of the HOA fee, made her a little money, and created a cash flow positive situation for her versus a vacant property.
All right, hold on real quick. Okay, so man, I wish you would have brought this deal up on these weekly calls so I can give some different feedback. So you had a vacant property. How long was the property vacant for?
4 months.
Why was the property vacant for 4 months?
She and I moved out of it, and as we were trying to sell it on seller financing for above market price, we were not able to get enough to get the right buyer that would give her the down payment and also make it a better investment. We didn't find the right buyers.
Okay, so let me let me go back on this. So great job. I'm just gonna. Are you
well, maybe.
I'm sorry.
maybe it would have been a lot better if we would have got more money, but
Well, let's just analyze this for everyone real quick. So here's a cool example. So if you said, Matt, I got a property I want to sell you. You only need to put 20% down.
20,000,
Sorry, it's even
about
better.
5% down.
I'm so conditioned. You only need to put $20,000 down. The payment is X. You can rent it for Y. Would you like to buy it? So let's run the numbers for everyone. Grab your financial calculator. This is why you guys should good job, Christine, renewing for a year. This is why you guys should renew every year, like to collaborate and learn like different scenarios. So so what's the payment? So if you bought the property for $432,000, 500. You put down $20,000 minus $20,000. That means I financed 412,500. Is that correct, Tony?
Correct.
All right. At a 5% interest rate over 30 years. That means my payment is $2,214 a month.
Correct.
And not including taxes and insurance. I'm gonna wait for everyone else to get that. Okay, grab your financial calculator, type it in once you got it. Unless you're driving with your kids in the background. All right, so what do you think proposed rent? What do you think you could rent this for, Tony?
2,600 maybe.
So probably 2,400.
Yeah,
All right, how much your property taxes? Probably 200 a month.
200 a month. Taxes and escrow are 272.
Okay, taxes and escrow are 272. All right, so I'm gonna repeat this one more time. If you said, Matt, I got a property to sell you, the purchase price is $432,000. You only have to put $20,000 down. You're going to finance $412,500 at a 5% interest rate. Your principal over 30 years, your principal and interest, good job, Christine, is 2,211, or I got 2,214. Your taxes and insurance, you said were how much, Tony? 270?
272.
All right, 272. So your payment's a little less than 2,500. So if you said, Matt, you could easily rent this for 2,400 out the door. This is me personally. I would have bought this property negatively cash flowing $100 a month, because here's what I would consider. What's the future value in 10 years, right? So we're gonna do future value in 5 years, and then a future value in 10 years. So now we're gonna forecast. So if the value right now is 432, and let's pretend it goes up 5% a year for the next 5 years, and then 5% a year for the next 10 years. I would like you guys to type in the chat, what's the future value of the property? So type in the chat, future value, 5% a year in 5 years, future value of the property, 5% a year in the next 10 years. You guys can throw that in the chat. That would be fantastic. Throw that in the chat. That would be fantastic. I'd like.
What'd you say, 5% a year?
Yeah, yep, 5% interest a year for the next 5 years. 5% 5% appreciation for the next 10 years. This is the first number you throw in there. 551, we call 552. Is that 5 years? 5 years. Okay, cool. Then I want you guys to do 10 years. Now, the reason why you're sharing this, and you need to think outside the box, great job, is it's not on the amount it's financed, it's on the amount of the sales price, right? So if the sales price is 432,000, and that's the value, 5% a year for 10 years, looks like came up with a little less than 705. Looks like came up with 672. She corrected it. Okay, so if you're not sure how to do this, you grab financial calculators. I'm not gonna do that in the class. I want you guys to do that on your own. So think about this. Let's pretend now rents only increase 3% a year. Okay, so now we're gonna do rents. So you're gonna do rents at $2,600 a month. Let's just focus on 10 years out. $2,600 a month at a 3% increase in rents for 10 years. What's the future rents? Amy, this is important that you do yourself so you can make sure you can navigate for financial freedom, right? Like you can plug these numbers. Okay, so Kristen has rent of $3,495. Christine has rent of $3,494. I'm good to be within $1. That's pretty accurate. Okay. Now let's make an assumption. Let's pretend the positive cash flow is zero for the sake of the next 10 years. Okay. There's zero positive cash flow because you're going to utilize the cash flow for repairs. Let's pretend that you are going to pay. Let's do forecast of an amortization. So if you finance $412,500 at 5% interest rate on a 30-year amortization, guys, I want you guys to tell me what the balance is in 10 years. So we know the difference of the value in 10 years versus the balance in 10 years. So I'm gonna say this one more time. I want you guys to take a $412,500 at a 5% interest rate amortization. If you are not sure how to do it, please raise your hand. I'm going to show you how to do this one on a computer. Okay, so go to Google. If you're stationary, go to Google. I'm going to show you guys how to do this. I want you to do it on a financial calculator, but I'm going to show you like an admin assistant can do this. Okay, so I'm going to type amortization schedule. Just happen to pick the first one here. I'm going to pick a loan amount of $412,500, 30 years, 5% interest rate, loan start date. All right, cool. So in 10 years, in 2030, I want to do my amortization schedule. Let's check out the schedule. All right, in 2034, my balance will be depending $333,899. Let's call it 334. So type in the chat Steady Eddie, because I just showed you how to one way to do it. Very easy. Anyone can do this. You guys all got that? Okay. Type it in the chat that you got it. So now we're going to take the difference of the sales price of the value in 10 years. We're going to take 10% off the top. So the future value of this property is 700. We'll call it 704. 705. I'm going to call it 705. So take $705,000 minus 10% is going to give me minus 10% will give me minus concessions, commissions, etc. And then I'm waiting for everyone to type in that number. And then you take the so 634.5, good. Then you take the 634.5 minus 335.5 minus 335.5. That's probably 299,000. Okay, good. Now the cool thing, she's like, man, I'm going to be rich when I'm old because I'm paying attention now. Okay, so now let's pretend hypothetically you put another $20,000 into the property just because you had to for whatever reason. So your total investment is $40,000. Your total investment. So Amy, here's an example. If I gave you, Amy, $40,000 right now, and in 10 years you paid me back $299,000. Well, first you'd subtract the $40,000 of the initial investment. So that gets me down to 259. And then how much is that? How much is return on your money? 80,000, 160, 320. So about 275% on your money in 10 years is pretty freaking amazing. All right, what are we taking away from this? What are you taking away from this example? Besides, you wish that you brought this up because you definitely would have bought a property for $20,000 out of pocket in this scenario.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is you're 40,000 bucks into this. There's just so much equity. There's so much that you can do even without cash flow. You're just spending time on it and it's working for you over time. It's not super sexy right away all the time, but after 5 or 10 years, you've got a lot going on for you.
Good question. Yeah. So I'm making the assumption that the negative cash flow for a couple years will wash each other out, plus the positive cash flow 10 years later. So that's why I'm showing zero cash flow for this example for 10 years. We're just we're making an assumption of a $40,000 investment that's going to yield $254,000 10 years later. Not taking into consideration depreciation and tax benefits and other things like that. So I'm just doing like really simple math. Another way to make this better is you buy this with a self-directed retirement account. So if you had hundreds of thousands of dollars in a self-directed retirement account, it was okay to put $20,000 into a deal, then you hold on to it for 10 years. Then when you sell that sucker, that money's going to go into your retirement account. So those are different strategies to do that. If you only had $50,000 in a self-direction, would I do this? No, because that's like 40% of your total principal. But if you had $250,000, $500,000, etc., yeah, I'd probably do this. You guys should learn a little bit more about that. But that's the purpose of how to properly structure non-traditional financing.